Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of our podcast here at Tackle Law. We have attorney Mike with us today again.
So what are we talking about today?
So today we're talking about what makes an amazing attorney. I feel like this
Ooh,
topic, a lot of people are really broad about it, but I want to get
yeah.
into the details and get to the tea.
The T. Okay.
Yes.
So there's a lot of things that go into what's an amazing attorney. Um, so a lot of people go into law school for money, right? Like, you know, they say, I want to go into law school, I want to make a ton of money. And that's not really what will get you to become an amazing attorney. And so I look at it as like there is a good place for everybody for whatever you want to do in the law, but you have to figure it out early on and decide that's what you want to do. And so if you say a good attorney is the person who brings in a lot of business, then you have to go when you start in law school and bring in business. You've got to learn how to talk to people. You've got to learn how to market yourself. You got to learn how to be that business. If you say, I want to be the best trial lawyer ever, to do that, you have to go to law school, be part of mock trial, moot court, whatever it may be, and learn from the best. Because law school is just going to be a place where you learn kind of, and not honestly 100%, but kind of how to be an attorney, right? It's kind of like the basic level. And so that's why they say the bar exam is a competency exam. Are you competent enough to take on matters? Not are you a professional? And so if I was to go back to law school and restart, I think I would have started from day one. I kind of did this, but started from day one and sought out the best people in my profession and the best trial lawyers and say, how much will you pay me to come work for you? I will work for basically next to nothing.
So basically, from what I understood from this,
Yeah.
is that it just depends on the field and
Yeah.
kind of what you're good at, and you kind of just have to be good at everything, it seems like.
You don't have to be good at everything. You really don't. So I've had people who are professionals who went to government because that's what they want to do. And they are very good at that, right? They are very good at working within that realm and they've gone up. If you want to do big law, which some people who are watching this, that's what they want to do. They went into law school, they want to work at a big, huge, multinational law firm, and that's what they want to do. Then you've got to gear yourself towards being the top of your class, doing all this stuff. If you want to be the best trial lawyer, find the person who you want to mimic after. I'm not going to say who I did, on air, but I'll say that that person, I talked to him, I worked for him, I saw what he did day in and day out, and I was like, I want to do this. This is what I want to do with my life, and kind of work on it and kind of build your own flavor for it. A good attorney is going to be one of three things. Have three things. They're going to be extremely detail oriented. Okay, not only in their work, but people, how they treat people, how they speak with people, because every single person is a potential referral. Every single person is something you can learn from, right? And then the third is they're going to be hard workers. I hate to say it because it's like, oh, there's no substitution for hard work, but there really isn't. Like your first few years out of law school, if you work hard, your next 10 years after that are going to be a lot better. And I mean, you could attest it. How many attorneys call me every single day asking for
A lot,
advice?
for sure.
And the reason is because I've been there, I've done that, because I spent the hours learning it, right?
Right. So I think from what I've gathered from my experience is
Yeah.
that you want to start as early as possible, sort of like networking as one of the ways into becoming a great attorney.
Yeah.
So I feel like you networked throughout law school, and now you're networking even more and more.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I mean, working for you, I know that, most of the cases we get are referrals because people know that you're a good attorney.
Yeah. So you could have you could have the best work product, but no one knows about your work product. That gets you no business, no taking care of the lights, no money in your pocket. That's not helpful. And so you could be the best networking attorney, but if they know your work product is terrible, hey, love you, man, not going with you, right?
Right.
you have to have both. And so you start early, you start meeting people. And I had a problem with this in law school. I had this mentality that like, if you're the best, they will come. It's not real.
Okay. So I kind of want to start, or not start, but I have around like 4 or 5 topics, and I want to just briefly
Okay.
kind of get into them. So the first thing I want to touch up on is the mindset of an amazing and exceptional attorney. Like, what separates, do you think, a good attorney from an amazing one?
Passion.
So you have to have a passion for your craft,
Yeah.
correct?
You could be a passion for like yourself. Like you just want to be the best, and it's selfish, but it works. You can have a passion for your clients. I've seen it in so many different ways, right? Like I could think of an attorney just off the top of my head. He has a passion for himself. Like he wants to be the best because he wants to be the best, and that's it. It works for him. Not maybe you need some mental health situation issues with
Okay.
that, but you know it is what it is.
Right.
There's attorneys who have a passion for clients. Like they see a client problem, they do that. But
Okay.
yeah,
And I mean, what's the mindset, you kind of have to have going through this? I feel like a lot of people have imposter syndrome. They're not, pushing hard enough to become the person they want to be. I know, I guess knowing you want it, and you want it like bad. Like you want to be the best and the top of your game. So I guess knowing that, what is your mindset on how to be an elite lawyer?
huh? That's a tough question. So I think a few things. One of them is like empathy. Number one, like it's weird to say, like as a lawyer, being, having so much empathy, right? Because you always think of like the guy in the courtroom who's like screaming at the person, and is like cutthroat. It's not actually how you get a jury to go with you. The jury's going to go with the person who's sensible, who you feel like you could trust, and you have to have that mindset, like with the people you work with the attorneys that you work with counsel, with judges, because when you build that, people respect you because you've given them respect. Similarly, it's empathy for your client. And so when I'm harsh with defense counsel or aggressive, it's not because I'm an angry person. It's because I feel the pain of my client, right? And I feel that this issue is important. So that empathy is super important. The mindset should honestly be that you don't stop until the work is done. And that's with everything, right? And so if you are cooking for your friend, right? You want your friend to have a good meal. That's the goal. So you should not stop until the work is done. It's not when the meal ends. It's not when the conversation ends. It's when they have left, that they walk away and they say, that was fantastic, right? And one of my friends said this, and I agree with it 100%. It is, how you do anything is how you do everything. If you have that mindset going into law school and then going to become an attorney, especially your first few years, it makes a huge difference. You're not going to do something last minute. You're not going to put on a half-ass trial, right? You're
Right.
going to put everything to the max of your ability, and
Okay.
it'll only get you further.
I feel like this is just kind of a side note that
Yeah.
I've learned working for you is just we were talking about earlier is about the passion sort of
Yeah.
situation. You have to have a passion. I want to circle back to that. You have to have a passion for your craft. You have to love what you do to continue doing it every day.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's just going to get harder and harder.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, no, look, 90% of people you meet have a job, and that's it. Like they, in a perfect world, would work Monday through, I don't know, Monday through Monday, right? Like just that day, and then like if they got paid them for the year, they're happy, right? If you're going to be a lawyer, that's not reality. You're putting long hours in.
Yeah, I feel like a good lawyer, I mean, just based on what I've noticed, you don't stop working Monday through Friday. You're working even during times where you don't even want to work and it's like a weekend.
Yeah,
Even I remember, I mean, recently you were traveling. We were calling you up every day,
yeah.
asking you questions because the work never ends. And I feel like that is another step into being such a top dog attorney in this field?
That's what I said with hard work, right? So when I say work hard, it's not like some jobs where you work hard for like a few months and then you go back and you relax.
This sounds like a Nike ad. I'm not gonna lie.
I know,
Work
right?
hard, like okay.
Work hard. So no, it's consistent. Like you have to be consistent with how you work, and you got to be okay with it. Like if you look at being a lawyer as your job, like oh, it's just my job, that's incorrect. You need to look at it as your lifestyle. So you are a lawyer. Your job is to continuously help your clients and continuously help and grow yourself as a lawyer. Because if you're good, that means you can do a lot of good. Why would you limit it? So,
Right.
and again, it starts from law school. Like that's how I was in law school. I would always help other law students out. I definitely help all the 1Ls. I had a bunch of mentors. I still have like a lot of mentees. You know, it just matters.
Okay, now let's hop into litigation.
Okay.
You're a litigation attorney. Wow, I can't talk. What makes an attorney a truly elite litigator? Like, what is it? Is it how harsh they are?
No, it's not how harsh they are. Just because you scream louder doesn't mean you're a better litigator.
Because, like, I think in the movies, right, or like in shows like Harvey from Suits, right?
Sure.
He's very aggressive, and everyone's like, wow, I want to be as badass as him.
It's not as aggressive when you find out the actor's 5'6", by the way. But no, look, to be an effective litigator, you have to, one, understand that a jury in Texas of 12 people are going to watch your production. It is theater. That's what it is, okay? And so to be an effective litigator, you have to understand that the rules of evidence are the ways in which I can put on a play that people are going to want to watch and they're going to vote for me, right? And when you understand that, then you say, okay, I have to take the facts that I'm given by this client and create something that the jury is going to accept and feel for my client, then it becomes fun. And so I will tell people, litigators, when I talk to you about a case that I really like, does it look like I'm like, oh, we need to hustle, we need to do this? It's like, dude, this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going
right?
to be easy. You look like you're in a good mood talking about it. You're ready to take it on.
And it's a ton of work, right?
Right.
Like finding witnesses out in Mexico doing this type of stuff is a lot of work. It's really hard to do. But I love it because guess what the end result is? It's going to be a present with a bow in front of the jury.
Okay, now give me 3 traits a litigator has to have.
Has
like,
to have.
It's non-negotiable.
Okay, detail-oriented,
Okay.
stubborn,
Okay.
and
But not aggressive, stubborn.
no.
You have to make your point.
What is the Texas term? Know when to hold them, know when to fold them, right?
Okay.
So you have to know when your case is good and the opposing counsel or insurance company, whatever it may be, is just not offering you full value and say, that's fine, a jury will. So stubborn in that way, right?
And the third one?
The third one would probably be a people person.
Really? I would think
And-
it was confidence.
I mean, look, I've seen not super confident litigators do really well, but you have to be a people person. And I don't mean it in the terms of like, you have to be, what's the term? Whenever you're closed off and you don't have a good social battery. What's the term?
I can't even think of it either.
Starts with an I.
Introvert.
Yeah. So it doesn't mean that you have to be an introvert. Like if you're an introvert, you can't be a litigator. That's not true. What I'm saying is when you speak to someone, when you speak to a jury, whatever it may be, you understand them. And so I tell people like,
Right.
look, if I were to go back and I did political science at Texas A&M, maybe I would have went back and done like either psychology or theater arts, both of which would extremely help me in this situation, right?
Right. Now let's talk business.
Okay.
I feel like business is such a big part of
It's huge. It's
being an
everything.
attorney, especially personal injury. Like I know this field. I mean, you know more than I do, but I've seen the way it works, and it's all about business and networking. So, I mean, how did you learn that, you're also running a business, not just a law firm?
How did I learn that I was also running a business, not a law firm?
Like it's a 2-in-1. Like when did you or how did you learn that?
Man, that's a tough question. So I think when I realized that Okay, probably too personal, but there was a certain period of time at a job of mine where I started bringing in cases. And it was because like I represented a few clients, they told me about, other people, and it kind of grew from there. And I got a certain percentage on those cases. And my salary was here, and the small percentage I got on those cases was somehow here.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, well, if I get rid of this could go higher, right? And so that's kind of how I realized the business end of it. And so, I will tell people, you do a good job for people, and more people will come.
Okay. What is a business skill that you need as an attorney that you didn't learn in law school?
Accounting. And I took accounting for lawyers. I still don't understand accounting.
Okay.
Yeah. No, budgeting.
Budgeting.
You are, at certain points in your time, in your career as a lawyer, you're going to make money, okay? And so you'll say, I'm making money now. I'm going to go buy me like a nice car, a Rolex, maybe a nice house. But the reality is, just like any other job, there are kind of, ups and downs, and you need to prepare for that. And so I'm not saying like live under your means, live in squalor, right? Don't do that. But budget right. Budget for the future, right? And so there are associates who I know that have not budgeted for the fact that they don't want to be an associate anymore. You have to budget for that.
I feel like business goes hand in hand with marketing and branding.
Yeah,
And I feel like a lot of lawyers struggle with marketing and, putting
they
their
do.
name out there. So how can attorneys stand out? Because some people are amazing attorneys, but people just don't know about them.
Man, talk about your results. Like if you are an amazing attorney, talk about your results. I mean, it's one of the things I do on like my a lawyer podcast, right? Is that you talk about your results and how you did that, because everybody wants to know. And the reality is, there are lawyers that want to know this information, way too lazy to do this, and they will refer you that case, right? And then people out who are searching, because thank God for social media. Like seriously, because of it, the public at large are so much brighter when it comes to stuff. When you want to do something for your house, what do? You YouTube it,
Yeah.
right?
You
If
TikTok it.
TikTok it,
Nowadays,
sure.
I swear.
Sure. And so people are starting to do that with lawyers, right? And we've even gotten some referrals because someone YouTube, I think it was like something with like a 18-wheeler right turn or something like that. And they YouTubed it, and guess who popped up? Me. And I know how to do these cases.
Yeah.
And they call us.
I feel like social media has changed your brand a lot, and
It
I
has.
feel like you took it head on, you took it seriously, and a lot of other attorneys are not doing so. Do you think it's really important that someone invests in the marketing side of the legal field?
So I think, yes, someone should invest in the marketing side. You have to be careful. And so, one, do not do it yourself. You are good at the law, hopefully. You're probably not good at figuring out, video angles and mic setups and lighting. Don't do that, because you're going to come off weird. The second is find a content group that has a real value, like they have kind of some success, and contact them. And then third, think about what you want to do, right? Like if you're like, for example, like me, I'm an attorney who does car wrecks, so I just want to talk about car wrecks. Well, you're in a very tough field. And so what makes you stand out? What makes you apart from the other car wreck lawyers? Because they're doing it on ads, radios, and stuff like that.
Okay, this is a question kind of a little bit aside from what we were just talking about, but how can you choose the field you want to be in, and how do you know you're good for a specific legal field? Like you chose personal injury, but there's so many kinds. There's big
Yeah.
law.
There's real estate,
Yeah.
there's so much.
How do you know what to choose and what path to go down?
So you don't actually. That's kind of like the not so talked about thing in law school. And so like if you go big law, I'll tell you right now, if you're in the top 10% of your class, okay, the high likelihood that you go big law, unless you make a intentional decision to do something else, okay? If you your first year, you're going to take a bunch of classes. And then don't base it off of that, because the practice of that versus what you learn, not so great. What you end up doing is your summers, you start working at different places. And one thing I recommend is if you can work at a courthouse, work at a courthouse, because you'll see so many different types of law. My first year, I worked at Judge Sandal in the 127th in Harris County. I saw business disputes, personal injury, property disputes, trust disputes, and I saw everything. And I was like, I don't like this. This seems terrible. These people seem depressed. I do like this,
Okay.
right? So that's one way to do it.
Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of wrap up
Yeah.
with some rapid fire questions.
Rapid fire.
There's like
All right.
5. Okay, one book every lawyer should read.
4 Disciplines of Execution.
What is it about?
4 Disciplines of Execution shows you how to execute stuff and how to hold yourself accountable, and then tells you how to do metrics to make stuff better.
In law or just in life?
General.
Okay. Biggest courtroom pet peeve?
Yeah. Biggest courtroom pet peeve from counsel or a judge?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Do the judges hate you? If they find this video, you're cooked.
Yeah, I know. So let's keep that one under wraps. For counsel, honestly, older counsel, they kind of try to tend to talk down to you. They don't do it to me anymore because I've got a name now. But early on in my career, especially if you're a woman, I mean, they would talk down to you. Like back in my day, well, that's not how this works. I've done this a million times. Buddy, but this is the first time with me, right?
Yeah.
So that was a pet peeve of mine. And in fact, I didn't have a beard out of law school. I grew a beard because I wanted to look older.
Okay.
So-
That's nice. Good to know. Most overrated legal skill?
Most overrated legal skill? Writing like a lawyer.
Really?
Yes.
Why does everyone say to write then? I feel like all the time I
Yeah.
heard growing up, if you're going to be a lawyer, you need to learn how to write.
You need to learn how to write so people understand. Okay? The best contract is one where you learn this in law school, meeting of the minds, that is so clear. It's not wherefore, therefore, premise considered. That's garbage. If you're like, hey man, this guy said this guy said this, they have both agreed to this, and you make it, lay it out so that a toddler can understand it. Guess who else can understand it very well? A judge.
Okay, I thought, this whole time you had to have all of these very big words,
Everybody thinks that.
therefore, hereafter, whatever.
Those are usually the worst contracts.
Okay.
Because you know what ends up happening in that situation? One person says, I don't understand this, and they hire a lawyer. The other person says, I understand it, and it means this. They hire a lawyer. Then they're both wrong, and then there's litigation. But if it says, Mike pays, Ben $100, Ben gives Mike a car, easy.
Okay. And then hardest lesson you've learned in your career?
There was a time period where I wanted to quit a law firm because it was tough.
Was it your own?
Every day. No. There was a time where I wanted to quit law firm because it was tough. It was grueling hours. I mean, there were some times where I stayed there 2, 3, 4 a.m. And the partner, one time I finished something at 4 a.m. I was like, hey man, do you mind if I come back in at 9? Meaning I would get 4 hours of sleep, get ready, and come back. And he said, back in my day,
Oh God, here we go.
back when I first started, I would do this for trial all the time, and I'd be right back. I would never complain. It wasn't for a trial. And I wanted to quit. I ended up quitting a law firm, like a while later. To be honest with you, I think I should have stuck on for a little bit longer. And the reason is because when I got out of there, it was like high-level litigator, right? I felt like I'd been in like a container of just knowledge for so long that when I got out, I knew what I was doing. If I would have spent a little bit more time, I would have learned a little bit more. And so the one thing I'll tell you is that there are going to be situations where you may have a bad boss, but it's a fantastic law firm and you learn a ton. Use it as like your chamber where you're going to learn a bunch for an extended period of time. Put an expiration on it and stick to it.
Okay, how do you know when to leave though? Like if you're stuck in that environment, how do you know like when enough is enough and like
When you can do those type of cases, whatever it may be, like the back of your hand. So like for me, there was certain parts of it that I could, and there was certain parts of it that I still needed to learn a little bit more. Like I still had to prep for a little bit more. So when you can do that, yeah. And you've obviously got the book of business, right?
Okay. Well, that was everything.
Perfect.
Thank you guys for listening. Mike looks tired. But yeah, is there any last thoughts you would like to say?
No, just subscribe, and if you have any questions, drop them in the comments.
Awesome. Well, everyone have a wonderful day.